Uh, must take my exam. Oh, where's my books? Where's my classroom? Where's my clothes? Oh, 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 hello. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not a very big fan of nightmares. Well, they're scary and upsetting, and well, they can just ruin a perfectly good night's sleep. But there is one kind of nightmare that I do enjoy, and that's the kind you know is a nightmare. Have you ever had a dream that you know is a dream while you're dreaming it? They're wonderful because suddenly you're in control and you can make anything happen. Last year, I had a nightmare in which I was being chased across a playground by a giant green rat with big white fangs. Oh, he was 10 feet tall, and he swiped at me with long, sharp claws. But then, all of a sudden, it occurred to me that this wasn't real. So I stopped running, smiled, and turned myself into a giant cat, 50 feet tall. The big green rat looked terrified, and he turned and he ran away, and I started chasing him. Oh, my goodness, it was so much fun. But just then, however, another thought occurred to me. What if the green rat was the one who was dreaming and I was in the rat's dream? Well, I never should have thought that, because as soon as I did, the rat stopped running, smiled, and turned himself into a gigantic green dog 100 feet tall. And the dog started chasing me until I jumped off a cliff and fell through the air, and I landed on a beach where George Clooney asked me if I could rub suntan lotion on his back. And, well, I don't know what happened to the big green dog, but I do know that I made darn sure George Clooney would not get a sunburn. Now, this is a poem about bad dreams. It's called simply Nightmare by W.S. Gilbert. When you're lying awake with a dismal headache and repose is tabooed by anxiety, I conceive you may use any language you choose to indulge in without impropriety. For your brain is on fire and the bedclothes conspire of usual slumber to plunder you. First your counterpane goes and undercovers your toes, and your sheet slips demurely from under you. Then the blanketing tickles, and you feel like mixed pickles, so terribly sharp is the pricking, and you're hot and you're cross, and you tumble and toss till there's nothing twixt you and the ticking. Then the bedclothes all creep to the ground in a heap, and you pick 'em all up in a tangle. Next your pillow resigns and politely declines to remain at its usual angle. Well, you get some repose in the form of a doze with hot eyeballs and head ever aching, but your slumbering teems with such horrible dreams that you'd very much rather be waking. For you dream you're crossing the channel and tossing about in a steamer from Harwich, which is something between a large bathing machine and a very small second-class carriage. And you're given a treat, penny ice and cold meat, to a party of friends and relations. Well, they're a ravenous horde, and they all come on board at Sloane Square and South Kensington stations. And bound on that journey, you find your attorney, who started that morning from Devon. He's a bit undersized, and you don't feel surprised when he tells you he's only 11. But you're driving like mad with the singular lad. By the by, the ship's now a four-wheeler, and you're playing round games, and he calls you bad names when you tell him that Ty pays the dealer. But this you can't stand, so you throw up your hand, and you find you're as cold as an icicle, and your shirt and your socks, the black silk with gold clocks, crossing Salisbury Plain on a bicycle. And he and the crew are on bicycles too, which they've somehow or other invested in, and he's telling the tars in all the particulars of a company he's interested in. It's a scheme of devices to get at low prices all goods from cough mixtures to cables, which tickled the sailors, by treating retailers as though they were all vegetables. You've got a good spadesman to plant a small tradesman, first take off his boots with a boot tree, and his legs will take root, and his fingers will shoot, and they'll blossom and bud like a fruit tree. From the greengrocer tree you get grapes and green pea, cauliflower, pineapple, and cranberries, while the pastry cook plant cherry brandy will grant, apple puffs and three-corners and banberries. The shares are a penny, and ever so many are taken by Rothschild and Baring, and just as a few are allotted to you, you awake with a shudder, despairing. You're a regular wreck with a crick in your neck, and no wonder you snore, for your head's on the floor, and you've needles and pins from your soles to your shins, and your flesh is a creep, for your left leg's asleep, and you've cramp in your toes, and a fly on your nose, and some fluff in your lung, and a feverish tongue, and a thirst that's intense, and a general sense that you haven't been sleeping in clover. But the darkness is past, and it's daylight at last, and the night has long been gone. Ditto, ditto, my song, and thank goodness they're both of them over. The end.